The gravedigger's whisper cut through the rain like a dull blade. Sir, that coffin's empty. Don't go home. Go to Unit 17 now. I stood there, frozen under my black umbrella, the scent of wet earth clinging to my coat as they lowered what I thought was my father's body into the ground. My heart pounded in my chest, a mix of grief and confusion twisting inside me like roots in soil. Why would he say that? Was it some cruel joke on this already unbearable day? The mourners around me murmured prayers, their voices soft against the patter of rain on leaves, but I couldn't focus. My wife, Elena, squeezed my hand, her fingers cold and trembling. It's over, David, she said gently, but nothing felt over. It felt like the beginning of something shattering. Before all this, life had been steady, like the rhythm of my father's old pocket watch ticking on the mantel. I was 42, a history teacher at the local high school in our quiet suburb outside Chicago. My days revolved around grading papers, coaching the debate team, and coming home to Elena and our 2 kids. Sarah, 15, with her endless sketches of dream worlds, and little Max, 8, who collected rocks like treasures. Dad had lived with us for the last 5 years, ever since Mom passed from cancer. He was the rock of our family, or so I thought, retired accountant, always in his armchair with a newspaper, his gravelly voice sharing stories from his youth. Family's everything, son, he'd say, sipping black coffee that smelled bitter and strong. We'd share dinners around the oak table, the clink of forks against plates, laughter over Max's silly jokes. Elena would lean in, her hand on mine, her floral perfume mixing with the aroma of her homemade lasagna. It was simple, warm, the kind of life where problems were small. Bills paid on time, holidays planned ahead. Dad helped with the kids' homework, his patient explanations filling the evenings. I never questioned his quiet routines. The way he'd stare out the window sometimes, lost in thought, felt normal, grounded in love and habit. But then, the first clues crept in like shadows at dusk. It started a month before his heart attack. Dad began acting distant, his usual stories replaced by silence. I'd catch him on the phone in hushed tones, hanging up quickly when I entered the room. Just an old friend, he'd mutter, avoiding my eyes. One evening, as I helped clear the table, I found a crumpled receipt in his pocket while doing laundry. $5,000 withdrawn from his savings. No explanation. Dad, what's this? I asked over breakfast, the toast crunching under my knife. He waved it off with a forced chuckle, his hand shaking slightly. Investments, nothing to worry about. But his voice had a tremor, like leaves rustling in wind. Elena noticed too. She'd pull me aside in the kitchen, the dishwasher humming softly. He's hiding something, David. Talk to him. I tried, but he'd changed the subject, his eyes darting away. Then came the strange mail, envelopes from a storage facility downtown, addressed to him. I shrugged it off as old junk, but doubt gnawed at me, quiet and persistent, like the drip of a faucet in the night. I told myself it was age, grief lingering from Mom. How wrong I was. The rain had stopped by the time the funeral director finished speaking. Everyone drifted toward their cars, black umbrellas folding like tired wings. Elena kept glancing at me, her brow creased with worry. David, you're pale. Let's get the kids home. But the gravedigger's words looped in my head, low and urgent. The way he'd leaned close so only I could hear. Unit 17, go now, before you go home. His breath smelled faintly of mint and tobacco. I nodded at Elena, told her I needed a moment alone with Dad's grave. She hesitated, then kissed my cheek and walked toward the car where Sarah and Max waited, their small faces pressed to the window. I didn't go to the grave. I walked straight to my car, the keys cold in my palm, and drove, not home, to the storage facility on the edge of town, the one whose logo I'd seen on those envelopes. The place was a low, gray building behind a chain-link fence, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead even in daylight. My shoes scraped on wet gravel as I parked. A sign read, self-storage, 24/7 access. I showed my father's key fob at the gate, something he'd kept on his nightstand for years, and it beeped me through. The hallways smelled of concrete dust and old cardboard. Unit 17 was at the far end, a wide roll-up door, number painted in peeling red. My hands shook as I fitted the small key into the padlock. Clicked open too easily, like it had been waiting. I lifted the door. Inside, not much furniture, just a single metal folding table and a chair. On the table sat a thick manila envelope, my name written on it in Dad's careful handwriting. Beside it, a small stack of bank statements, a burner phone, and a single photograph, him younger, maybe 40, standing beside a woman I didn't recognize. She had dark hair, kind eyes, and she was holding a baby wrapped in a yellow blanket. My stomach dropped. I opened the envelope with trembling fingers. Inside were letters, dozens, some dated back 20 years, all addressed to my dearest Claire. My father's handwriting, but softer, more tender than I'd ever seen it. He wrote about missing her, about how hard it was to stay away, about money he was sending whenever he could. One letter, dated only 6 months ago. Claire, the treatments are expensive. I've been moving things around so Elena and David won't notice. I'm sorry I can't be there. Tell our boy I love him. Tell him I'm proud. Our boy. I sank to the cold floor, the photograph trembling in my hand. The baby in the picture had my ears, slightly sticking out the same way mine do. The same dimple in the left cheek. I stared until my eyes burned. My father had a second family, a son, somewhere, and he'd been quietly draining his savings, our safety net, to support them while living under our roof, eating our food, kissing my children goodnight. The burner phone buzzed once. A single text from an unsaved number. He's gone now. Come to St. Mary's Hospice. Room 412. Claire. I sat there a long time, the fluorescent hum filling the silence. Grief and rage wrestled inside me, neither winning. I thought of Elena's trusting smile, of Max climbing onto Dad's lap every evening, of Sarah showing him her latest drawing. All of it built on a lie I never suspected. I thought of my mother's last days, how Dad held her hand and whispered he'd love her forever. Had that been a lie too? Eventually I stood, closed the unit, locked it, drove to the hospice. The hospice smelled of antiseptic and faint lilies left too long in vases. Room 412 was at the end of a quiet corridor, the fluorescent lights dimmed for evening. I paused outside the door, hearing soft voices inside. 2 women, one older, one younger. My hand hovered over the knob. Then I pushed it open. Claire looked up first. She was in her late 50s, silver threading her dark hair, the same kind eyes from the photograph. She didn't flinch when she saw me. The younger woman, maybe 30, stood beside the bed, arms folded tight across her chest. She had my father's jawline, the same slight crook in her smile when she was nervous. She had to be the baby in the yellow blanket. My half-brother's mother? No, my half-brother himself? No. The math clicked painfully. The child in the photo would be about my age now. This was my half-sister. My father had another daughter. Somewhere along the years he'd lived 2 lives, and I'd never suspected. Claire spoke first, voice low and steady. David, I knew you'd come. He left instructions. I stayed in the doorway. He's gone. The coffin was empty. You knew. She nodded slowly. He didn't want a funeral for the man you knew. He wanted this quiet, private, for both families to grieve separately. He thought it would hurt less. Hurt less. My voice cracked, quieter than I expected. He lied to us for decades. To my mother. To Elena. To my children. He drained his savings, our future. While we thought he was just retired. Claire's eyes filled but didn't spill. He loved your mother. Truly. When she got sick, he couldn't bear to add more pain. He started sending money again after she passed. For Liam's treatments. She gestured to the young man in the bed, thin, pale, oxygen mask fogging with each shallow breath. My half-brother, Liam, 22 years old, leukemia. The reason for the withdrawals. The reason Dad had grown distant. The reason he'd kept secrets. Liam lifted a weak hand. His voice was a rasp. I never wanted to take from you. Dad said you were happy. He said you had a good life. He didn't want me to ruin it. I looked at him, really looked. Same ears. Same dimple when he tried to smile. My blood. My father's blood. And I felt something crack wide open inside me. Not rage this time, but a deep, aching sorrow for all the years we could have known each other. I didn't yell. I didn't storm out. I pulled the chair closer and sat. For the next hour, Claire told me the story in soft pieces. An affair in his 30s. A pregnancy he never expected. A choice to stay with my mother and me because he believed it was right. He never stopped loving Claire. Never stopped providing. When Liam got sick, he couldn't walk away. So he hid. He compartmentalized. He lived with guilt every single day under our roof. When I finally spoke, my voice was hoarse. He could have told me. I would have helped. We would have helped. Claire touched my arm lightly. He was ashamed. He thought you'd hate him. He wanted you to remember him as the father you loved. I left the room when the nurse came in. Outside, in the parking lot, rain started again, soft and steady. I called Elena, told her everything, every word. While I sat in the car, engine off, windows fogging. She listened in silence. When I finished, she said only, "Come home, David. We'll figure it out together." The truth spread slowly, the way these things do in small towns. First to Elena's sister, then to my brother who lived 2 states away. Whispers at the school staff room. A few neighbors who'd seen me at the storage unit. No one shouted. No one picketed. But the looks changed, pity mostly, some quiet judgment. Dad's old friends from church stopped by with casseroles, awkward hugs, and murmured apologies for not knowing. Elena never once blamed me. She held me tighter at night, whispered that we were still whole. Liam passed 3 weeks later. We didn't attend the small memorial Claire held. Instead, Elena and I drove the kids to the lake Dad used to take us to every summer. We scattered some of his real ashes. Ones Claire had quietly given me, in the water he loved. Sarah cried. Max asked why Grandpa had secrets. I told them the truth, age-appropriate. Grandpa loved a lot of people, made mistakes, but loved us too. That love wasn't a lie, even if the life was. We're rebuilding slowly. I started therapy. Elena and I talk more, really talk about money, about trust, about what we'll never hide again. The kids are okay. They still draw pictures of Grandpa sometimes, smiling in heaven. I keep one on the fridge. Looking back, I understand now. Secrets don't just hide pain, they multiply it. My father carried his alone for too long. In the end, it cost him a chance to be forgiven while he was still breathing. But it also gave me something I didn't expect. The chance to choose grace over bitterness. To love the parts of him that were real and let the rest go. If you've ever carried a secret, or discovered one that broke your heart, what did you choose in the aftermath? Forgiveness, distance, or something in between? Tell me in the comments below. Your story might help someone else feel less alone tonight. This is Broken Trust Stories. If a story like this ever touched you, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We keep telling the hard truths so no one has to carry them in silence. Thank you for listening.